History is often told through kings, wars, and dates, but most lives passed without names being remembered. At the Historic Tales, we listen to ordinary people and the small decisions that shaped their days. Welcome to the Historic Tales.
I learned, even before I could read, that walls had rules. Inside a castle, they decided where I belonged. I arrived as a child and never really left. By the time I understood the weight of doors and keys, my body already knew when to stop, when to move, and when to wait. I learned which steps needed to be quick and which needed patience. I learned that it was safer to be early than late, and that sometimes standing still was the best choice. No one explained these things to me. I learned them through practice and correction. A look, a pause, or a door closing too soon, these were lessons I never forgot. That knowledge kept me fed. It kept me working. It kept me in the places I was allowed to be. I was not meant to be noticed. I was meant only to arrive when needed and leave before attention followed. Inside those walls, that was how a life was built. I grew up moving through stone corridors and staircases, worn smooth by those above me in rank. Their footsteps shaped my days more than any clock ever could. I learned people's names by their sounds before I even knew their faces. Some footsteps meant I had to step aside at once. Others meant lowering my eyes and waiting for the space to clear. Sometimes I had to turn back the way I came, even if my task remained unfinished. No one explained these rules. Explanation was unnecessary. Correction was enough. A look held too long, a pause noticed, a presence questioned. These were reminders. I learned the castle by its rhythm and timing. The building itself taught me how to be useful without causing disruption. Over time, this awareness settled into my body. I did not think about it. I acted. That was how I stayed where I belonged, and how each day passed without trouble.
In Britain, around 1800, many servants entered service as children. Large households depended on long-serving staff who learned complex routines without formal instruction.
There were paths through the castle that never appeared on any plan. Back stairs, narrow corridors, and doors meant only for servants shaped the way I moved each day. I learned these routes through repetition, not curiosity. Every path had a purpose, and using the wrong one often led to questions that did not end well. Timing mattered more than speed. Passing at the wrong moment caused trouble. Waiting too long caused suspicion. I learned to judge movement by sounds and by what was absent, by when a bell had rung or when a hallway was clear. I counted breaths between steps, not from fear, but from habit. Being useful meant arriving without being noticed and leaving before attention followed. I did not rush, and I did not hesitate. Over time, the castle itself seemed to guide my steps, teaching me when to move and when to remain where I was. When the household settled for the night, our work shifted. Fires needed clearing before embers became dangerous. Candles were replaced one by one, their stubs collected and counted. Floors were checked for the morning, chairs returned to their places, doors secured as they were expected to be. The castle could rest only because someone stayed alert. That knowledge followed me through every corridor. After dark, sounds carried farther. A dropped tool echoed longer than it should. A careless step announced itself. I learned to place my feet carefully and keep my hand steady. It was not fear, it was awareness, honed through repetition. Mistakes did not shout or demand attention. They stayed, waiting to be discovered at dawn, tied to the name of whoever had left them behind.
Servants often worked long hours beyond public view. Maintenance and preparation continued after the household withdrew, ensuring order by morning.
We ate after others had finished. Food was set aside for us, sometimes warm, sometimes cold. We stood or sat wherever space allowed. Meals were short. Hunger was managed, not talked about. Rest came after work, not according to clocks. When a bell rang, rest ended. Plates were cleared quickly, crumbs brushed away, and hands wiped on aprons already marked by the day. Conversations were practical. Who needed boots repaired? Which stair leaked? Where ash had gathered? No one lingered. Pausing too long drew attention.
Sleep came in pieces. A bench, a corner, or a pallet near the storage rooms became a place to rest. Eyes closed, but one ear remained alert for a summons. Dreams were short and shaped around duties, never fully forming. When footsteps crossed the yard, we rose before names were even called. Morning returned without ceremony. Bread was cut thinner, water colder. Work began again as if the night had not happened. We learned to carry fatigue like a tool, used carefully, never displayed. Survival depended on rhythm, restraint, memory, and moving correctly through each hour.
The servant quarters were close to the areas where we worked, by design. The rooms were crowded. Beds were shared or placed so close together that turning over required care. Privacy did not exist. Breath, movement, and sleep were shared with others. Waiting was part of life, waiting for instructions, waiting for space, waiting for footsteps to pass. Belongings were small, a spare shirt, a pin, a wrapped scrap of bread. Anything larger would get in the way. Night offered little difference from day. Someone always entered, exited, searched, or counted. The light changed, but our duties did not. These rooms held us between tasks, not for comfort, but as a place to pause. Bodies rested like tools set down temporarily, carefully, expected to be used again. Whispers were rare, not forbidden, but impractical. Every sound traveled, every movement was noticed. When a call came, we rose without protest. The room was reset, blankets folded, pallets stacked, the air shifted, as if no one had been there at all.
I always knew who outranked me. Rank showed itself in tone, timing, and permission. When a higher-ranking servant entered a room, posture changed. When someone above them arrived, even posture was forgotten.
Adjustment had to be immediate. Any delay was noticed. Orders were not always spoken aloud. A pause, a glance, or a hand left raised a moment too long carried instruction. Those below learned to read it. Those who failed learned faster the next time.
Rank decided who spoke first, who finished last, and who remained standing when a task was complete. Paths narrowed depending on who approached. Space itself seemed to rearrange. A doorway belonged to one person at a time, and it was rarely me. Even mistakes had hierarchy. Some errors were corrected. Others were remembered and repaid later. No chart or list was needed. Rank existed through repetition. It shaped movement, speech, and expectations. Knowing it prevented trouble. Forgetting it created work that followed you long after the moment had passed.
The castle spoke in sounds. Bells signaled what was needed. Doors showed authority. Footsteps indicated risk. Silence meant safety, not a lack of work, but a lack of mistakes. I listened constantly. Even now, sound reaches me before thought. Every part of the castle had its own language. Stone floors carried meaning. A fast step meant urgency. A measured step meant importance. Heavy boots belonged to those in power. Soft soles belonged to those who served them.
I learned which sounds allowed movement and which required stillness. A door closing once was routine. Closing twice meant trouble. Keys turning slowly meant inspection. Keys turning quickly meant impatience. Sound traveled farther than sight. Corners hid bodies, not noise. One misplaced scrape could turn a day's work into correction. I learned to move with the building, to place my weight where it would be forgiven. Listening was not caution, it was survival. Long after leaving those walls, my body still reacts before my mind decides. News moved through the castle without being spoken. A look, a pause, a task given to someone else. We warned each other without naming the danger. The castle had its own system, quiet and exact, built over years of watching and learning. A small gesture could shift responsibility. A nod could signal caution. The absence of footsteps could mean something had changed. Trust mattered more than anything. Speaking too much caused trouble or confusion. Saying nothing could sometimes cause even greater harm. I learned whom to observe, whom to follow, and whom to avoid. A message shared the wrong way could undo hours of careful work or bring correction from above. Information moved through action, not words. The timing of a door opening, a tool left behind, or a piece of linen moved from its place, all carried meaning. Every step, every pause, every glance mattered. Knowledge passed silently through habit, discipline, and attention, holding us together as a living system the household depended on.
Servant communities developed informal systems of communication built on observation, timing, and subtle signals. A glance, a pause, the placement of a tool, or a shifted pallet could carry messages across rooms and floors. These networks were essential for coordinating duties, warning of approaching superiors, and avoiding conflict or reprimand. No formal instructions were needed. Experience taught each new servant how to read the signals. Through repetition and careful attention, information moved efficiently, allowing the household to function smoothly while minimizing errors. In these ways, servants created a living system of guidance and protection within the castle walls.
Permission to leave the estate was rare. When it was allowed, I did not go far. Time outside felt borrowed, as if every minute beyond the walls carried a weight I could not set down. The streets felt unfamiliar. The air was sharper. The ground felt uneven under my worn shoes. I noticed everything, not from curiosity, but because a wrong step could bring trouble when I returned. Coming back late required an explanation. A small delay, a distraction, or being seen by the wrong person led to questions I had to answer. There was no ease in walking beyond the gates, only watchfulness and care.
The world outside existed, but only briefly. Time was counted not in freedom, but in responsibility. When the bell rang or my name was called, I returned by the paths I knew, aware that the castle expected my presence more than my absence. I grew old without ever leaving. As my strength faded, my work changed. I lifted less and watched more. I knew the castle better than I knew people. Rooms stayed the same, faces came and went. Each season brought new workers, new routines, new orders. I remembered where a chair always stood, which door made noise, and which stair needed care. The castle stayed steady, even as people changed. Children arrived and grew, just as I once had. They learned the paths I had learned long ago, the timing of footsteps and the places to avoid. I showed them where not to stand, how to move when someone above them approached, and which areas were safe to cross. My lessons were short, clear, and useful. Experience replaced strength. Watching replaced speed. I did not feel bitter about time passing. The castle's rhythm became my own, and through it I understood how many years had gone by.
People disappeared from daily life. There was no ceremony and no pause. Work adjusted, and we continued. A chair stayed empty. A bed was no longer used. A task once done by someone else was quietly passed on. The work remained. The castle did not stop, and neither did we. Loss was folded into the daily schedule. Names were remembered for a short time, sometimes a day, sometimes longer, but life moved on. Corridors, stairs, and rooms still needed care, no matter who was missing. I carried on, taking over duties left behind and learning new patterns to fill the gaps. Even moments meant for thought were brief. Work interrupted them quickly. Noticing absence became part of routine, like sweeping a floor or tending a fire. We worked carefully because the castle expected it. Loss became part of the rhythm, present, unspoken, and always there. I am an old man now. I know these walls the way someone knows the weather. Every stone, every stair, every door has shaped me over time. They shaped how I moved, how I worked, and how my days flowed. I learned early that paying attention mattered more than moving fast. Being present without being noticed was better than being seen. I did not live an exciting life. I lived a useful one. History will remember the castle, its great halls, its ceremonies, and its lords. It may not remember me. My name does not appear in records that matter beyond these walls. But for many years, nothing here worked without hands like mine. Fires were cared for, doors were secured, floors were cleaned, linen was prepared, meals were carried, rooms were set in order. The castle functioned because we did, because the servants kept it alive. That is enough for me to know about my life. The life you heard today was not famous. Many lived in similar ways, under similar pressures, making careful choices with limited control. Thank you for listening. If you want more stories like this, like and subscribe.